and welcome back to another episode of College Basketball Power Hour. I'm your host, Nathan, here with Dylan and Grant. Once again, we're excited to have you back. We saw a very exciting week one of college hoops, lots of ranked teams falling, lots of great matchups, and we're here to really debrief all of it for you guys. We're going to start with a segment called One Riser, One Faller, where we're each going to list a team that we thought played really well and rose up our rankings this week, and then one that didn't play so well and ended up falling in our rankings. So, Grant, let's start with you for our riser of the week.
Okay, so I'm going to go with Houston. They had a very impressive win over Texas Tech yesterday. They also beat Boise State, I think, on Thursday, which is a good team out in Mountain West. They started the year Ken Palm 21, and now they're up to 10. So that's a big climb for the first three games. And this is a really talented team. They've got a lot of good guards: Marcus Sasser, Caleb Mills, Quentin Grimes, Dejan Jarreau. Really like him. They were just really impressive this first week.
Yep, definitely. Dylan, who's your one riser?
Yeah, so my riser, I'm gonna go with Richmond, 2-0. Obviously, the big win against number 10 Kentucky. A few things that stuck out to me with them was their scoring was really balanced. You saw like 18, 11, 13, and 18 were their top four guys. Like having that, it's kind of like pick your poison. Like if one guy's down, there's going to be three or four other guys who are going to step up. So I really like that from them. And also defensively, they just looked very solid. Forced Kentucky to have 21 turnovers, which is a crazy amount. 10 of those were steals, and just defensively rock solid. And I'm interested to see their next three matchups. They're pretty strong ones. It's UNI, West Virginia, and Vanderbilt. So if they go 3-0 there, I don't know how far they can rise. I think they could potentially get into the top like 15, maybe in that area. But yeah, Richmond is definitely my riser for the week.
Yeah, they're definitely a dangerous team. My riser for this week was St. Louis. I really love the way they played against a scrappy LSU team that really has a lot of firepower in Trenton Watford and their other freshmen that they've got. I really like the way they've played. Jordan Goodwin looks the part. He looks like a really good glue guy for that team, and I have them moving up into my top 25 this week. Interesting to see how they play once they get Hassan French back. So I'm excited to see how they match up. They should have some good matchups against Richmond in the A10 for sure.
Definitely.
Now, going on to our one faller of the week. This could be a team that had some unexpected losses or probably placed them too high last week where you maybe shouldn't have. Grant, let's go with you for your one faller first.
I'm going to go with Northern Iowa. This is a team that I'm going to be keeping an eye on the entire season. They started out 0-3, 3 losses in South Dakota. The first two were close. Western Kentucky, another good team, and then they lost on basically a buzzer beater to St. Mary's. But Northern Iowa was without their sharpshooter Trey Burhow, so I know that they're going to bounce back and they're going to be a good team, but it's kind of looking like they're going to have to win the Missouri Valley if they're going to want to get into the tournament now.
Yep, definitely. Dylan?
Yeah, so mine, I didn't think too outside the box with this one. Virginia losing to San Francisco over the weekend. They looked really good against Towson, which the thing is with these early games, it's tough. It's not a very good litmus test, you expect them to blow these teams out. So this was kind of a shocker for me. A few things that stuck out: only shot 25% from the three. And then as a team, they had 5 assists. And I went and looked it up. Can you guess how many times last year Kie Clark had at least 5 assists in around 30 games?
Pretty much every game.
Yeah, it was 22. So that was just an anomaly for them. Once they get that ball movement going in the Bennett system, I think they'll be fine. So definitely nothing to panic about, but just for the sake of the segment, Virginia is my faller.
Yeah, I get that. Hopefully they'll rebound. I think they'll kind of stay put and hopefully be up there come March. Mine was another team that I thought was going to start the season off well, which we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, which is Kentucky. Um, I had them falling a little bit just because I really didn't love their guard play against Richmond. They were basically just outclassed on the guard end of it. Gilliard killed them. Devin Askew, their starting point guard, only had 2 points with only shot the ball 3 times, made no buckets. You can't really win doing that. And Devin Mitz, who really stepped up in the first game against Moorhead, ended up also having 0 points. And you can't win with that with no guard play. As much as BJ Boston and Olivier Sarr can go out there and drop 20 and 17 every single game, you're not going to win if you have no guard play in March. So hopefully they can step it up, and we'll see where it goes from here. So moving on to our second segment of the day, we're going to talk about our most impressive team of the week and our most impressive player of the week. So Grant, we obviously saw a lot of college basketball this week. Who is your most impressive team?
My most impressive team it's an easy pick, but it's Gonzaga. Just watching their game against Kansas, it was like, whoa, it was kind of like that Duke team from 2018 with Zion, where it was just like, oh boy. Like Jalen Suggs was just killing it. Drew Timme was a monster. Corey Kispert, best shooter in the country. Like their offense is just insane. It ended up being like a 12-point win, but it really felt like a lot more based on just how surprising. Like they were preseason number 1, but like still. Yeah.
I love the way they played. It was really fun to watch. Dylan?
Yeah, I'm piggybacking off of Grant. Gonzaga's my most impressive team. How can you not go with them? They looked phenomenal with that trio with Timme, Kispert, and Suggs was crazy. Like the fact that Timme and Kispert were almost able to put up 30 in their game against Auburn, separately, that was amazing. And then, yeah, this Gonzaga team, they're going to be really fun to watch throughout the year. I'm interested to see their matchup against Baylor.
Yeah,
They can get past Baylor. I definitely see them having an undefeated season, and I can feel pretty confident about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I love Gonzaga too, but I'm going to go with someone who we also talked about earlier, who I'm surprisingly impressed with, who was Houston. Going into the game on Sunday, I really thought Texas Tech was going to win with all their firepower. Loved Terrence Shannon, Mac McClung, thought they were going to come out and get the W, but just Houston's guards really impressed me. I love the way Marcus Sasser plays. Isn't afraid to shoot the basketball. Really goes out there with a fearless mentality, and love Quentin Grimes as a leader. I think he's really stepped it up ever since he's gotten on Houston's campus. Looked even better. Could get that 3 ball going a little bit more, and if he does, they could be dangerous in March for sure. So now we're going on to our most impressive player of the week. Grant, who do you have for your most impressive player?
I'm sticking with Gonzaga for this one and going with Drew Timme. All I got to say about Drew Timme is it is Drew Timme's world, and we are just living in it. He had 25 against Kansas, 28 against Auburn. He's shooting 71% from the floor. It's the jump that he's made from his freshman year to sophomore year is just huge. He's going to be such an important part of this Gonzaga team. If you don't know who he is, you better know now because he's a great player.
Yep, definitely. Dylan?
Yeah, so I'm going to go out west for Arizona State and Josh Christopher. The guy's a freshman, but he plays just well beyond his years. Specifically in that game against Villanova, he really stepped up in prime time against very good competition. He just can score from anywhere. His mid-range game is solid. His athleticism is off the charts. Kind of reminds me of Donovan Mitchell, a little less athletic and, in your face, like with that big plays, but he's just a really fun player to watch, and I'm definitely going to keep my eye on him for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I also remember hearing a Stanley Johnson comparison to him. I think that's pretty similar to the way he impacted Arizona. That's a good one as well. I'm also going with Drew Timme here. I have kind of a little anecdote on him. I actually went to an Illinois basketball practice a couple years ago, and he was there shooting around in his recruiting visit, and I'm like, this guy looks like the real deal. He was a little bit underwhelming last year at Gonzaga just because they had so many pieces, only averaged 10 points a game, but obviously that was a really good team. And now he's really coming into the spotlight and shining. I don't know how the rest of the season is going to play out because obviously I had Corey Kispert on my wouldn't watch award lists, but if we were going by the small sample size, I definitely have to change that to Drew Timme. We'll see how that ends up, but the dude's a monster. Just amazing on the offensive glass, can shoot, can score, can finish, plays amazing post defense, great size and athleticism for being 6'10". Just can get it done. A great prototypical college basketball big man. So I love the way he plays. Next, we're going to move on to our conference spotlight of the week. We're going to talk about the Big 12. Obviously, we saw a lot of action from the top seeds playing in tournaments. West Virginia playing a lot of games, Kansas playing a lot of games. Texas just finished one up a little while ago. So, Grant, what are your 3 thoughts on the Big 12 that you saw from this past week?
Yeah. So my first thought is Kansas looks better than I thought. I had them at preseason 19. I just didn't see what they were going to do in the front court, but and also it was a little bit of a question at point guard. But Marcus Garrett played a lot of point, I saw, and they kind of hung with Gonzaga in the end. I mean, 12-point loss, but I was really expecting Gonzaga to win by like 20 plus. So Kansas looks better than I thought. I would definitely rank them higher than 19 now. Second, I still like Texas a lot, but they have some things to figure out. Today's win over Davidson was not that impressive. Kind of sloppy, kind of out of control at some points. I like their guards, but still, like they need some time to figure things out before they really get going. And then my last thought is Baylor's backcourt is the best in the country. Jared Butler, Maceo Teague, Davion Mitchell, LJ Cryer, Adam Flagler, those dudes, any one of them could go for 20 plus every night. And in their first game, they all scored over 10 points. So I don't know how you're going to stop Baylor's backcourt. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Dylan, what are your 3 thoughts?
So my first thought, Cade Cunningham is the most talented player in this conference. You saw he went up against not the best competition, but he still just looked phenomenal. 21 in his first game, and then 20 against Texas Southern in his second game. He just got a really smooth stroke and can put you down in the post and also can shoot from the 3. What I was really surprised with his passing ability, he really looks to create for his teammates and can find the open man. And also on the defensive end, he's just so solid. His length is an incredible asset for him. He was able to get a few blocks I saw where he got beat, but he made up for it easily with his wingspan. So just Cade Cunningham, most talented player in the Big 12. Not necessarily the best player. I mean, I think Jared Butler might beat him out for Conference Player of the Year, but yeah, I really like Cade Cunningham. Second, I'm going to go with Baylor will win the conference in a dogfight. Kind of a prediction here, but they just looked very good their first game against Louisiana Lafayette. Looks like they're going to be able to shoot really well. And just Jared Butler is going to lead them. Might tie with Kansas because I'm with Grant. I was really surprised with how well they were after losing as a Buike. But yeah. And then my third and final thought, another prediction. There will be a Big 12 team in the Final Four. Obviously, Baylor and Kansas are kind of the 2 favorites, but definitely don't look past teams like West Virginia, Texas Tech, and even Texas. I know Texas Tech and Texas didn't look the best the past few days, but I think they'll get it figured out. And, you know, in March Madness, anything can happen. These teams could go on a run, especially if their shooting's on. So definitely watch out for the Big 12 and the Final Four.
Yeah, definitely. I like those thoughts. The Big 12 has definitely impressed me more than I thought they would. My first thought of the Big 12 is that the top of the conference is clearly separating itself. I think when you've got Kansas, Baylor, Texas, Texas Tech, and West Virginia, all very solid teams. All of them I could see easily playing in the second weekend of March for sure. Just love the combination of experience and newcomers that they have on all those teams. Definitely going to be watching those 5 pretty closely. My second thought is that TCU is a sleeper. I like the way they've played. Ended up beating a scrappy Liberty team that ended up winning against two SEC teams the 2 games before. I like the way they play. Their substitutions are very interesting. The way they do it, kind of similar to the way Leonard Hamilton does things at Florida State, where they played a lot of guys in all of their games. I like the way Nemard plays. I like Chuck O'Bannon a lot. I think they're going to rely on different scorers to win them games every night, which I like. It's kind of the way Wisconsin plays basketball a little bit, where they don't have a for sure number one scorer on their team, which obviously we'll talk about later. But I just like the way they play, and I think they could make some noise, hopefully get into the NCAA tournament as the 6th team in that conference. And then my third thought, I'm sorry, Kansas State fans, but you guys should probably look away from the TV as much as possible for the next couple of months. Kind of embarrass yourself against Drake the first day. Wasn't really expecting that, but didn't look too good. And then just got blown out by Colorado, who lost its best player in Tyler Bay the year before. So Kansas State fans, maybe focus on something else. Go root for the Chiefs or something, but try to stay away from college basketball this year as much as possible. Hopefully good times are coming for you guys and Bruce Weber's squad. All right, so on to our next segment. We saw a lot of freshmen and transfers really take over games this past week, so we are going to do a newcomer spotlight, highlighting some of the great performances by freshmen and transfers this week. Grant, who was your newcomer that you had an eye on?
All right, so I'll throw out a few names here, but then I'll talk about the last one. Jalen Suggs, Cade Cunningham, both the Hauser brothers. But the one I want to focus on is Zach Edey at Purdue. And I think it's just funny because Purdue, obviously, they had Isaac Haas, who was 7'2". Then they had Matt Harms, who's 7'3". Now they have Zach Edey, who's 7'4". And this dude, I mean, he's not just a big body though. Like he had 19 points in 16 minutes their first game. Then he had 17 points in 21 minutes his second game, and he's shooting 83% from the floor. He's just, I mean, he's so good for a freshman. It's funny when he shoots free throws, the ball looks so small in his hand because he's 7'4", like he's just a giant. But he's ahead of schedule from like he was kind of a lower rated recruit, but he's definitely really turned into something good here as a freshman.
Yeah, Edey was definitely fun to watch this last week. Somehow Purdue seems to go get these giants out of nowhere that come in and make an impact. So we'll see how he ends up. Hopefully he can play well for them. Dylan?
Yeah, so my newcomer spotlight goes to Cam Thomas out of LSU. The freshman looked super good. He didn't get a lot of the hype that like guys like Jalen Johnson and them got coming out, but he just was a pure scorer. Scored 25 and 27, and it was pretty efficient too, hovering around like 50% from the field. And when you're taking the volume of shots that he's taken, I'll definitely take 50%. And just kind of sticking with my prediction theme, I could definitely see him leading the SEC in scoring. He's just that good of a scorer. As a freshman, too, he's just phenomenal.
Yeah, he's scary. I have a lot of newcomers, but I'll only talk about one. A couple that I'd like to list off. Shout out to the Hauser brothers for stepping out of the Marcus Howard shell. Love the way they played. Javon Quinterly, who we'll see tonight. Love the way he's been playing for Alabama. Jalen Johnson, hate that you didn't go to Wisconsin, but you played amazing. So props to you for that. But the one I'd like to talk about is my guy, Adam Miller. Really showed out, scoring 18 points per game. Love the way he shot the 3 ball and just looked so fluid when he was playing basketball. Really has a knack for the game. And I think Illinois fans who are out there, enjoy this one while you have him, because he could be a 1 and done or a 2 and done possibly. Just love the way he played, averaged 18 points per game, played solid defense in starters minutes. Illinois obviously had a close one against Ohio. He really stepped up, made some buckets down the stretch there, helped kind of ease the burden off of Ayo Dosunmu a little bit so he could kind of have his open lanes to drive, and obviously made the game-winning free throws at the end when he got the foul there. So he'll be a big part of this Illini team who I think can make a Final Four run this year. All right, so going on to our next segment, obviously we're all from UW-Madison, and root for our Badgers, but we've been having a little difficult of a time discussing who's really the best player on this Badger team and who's going to step it up come March. So after what you saw this week, Grant, who is your best player on the Badgers so far?
I think we're all going to have different opinions here, but I've been on team Micah Potter for a while now. I just think that he brings a lot of energy to the team. I love his versatility. When you're that size and you can shoot like he does, like he doesn't hesitate for a second. He'll pull a deep three, NBA range three. He'll go in there, bang around, get rebounds, finish inside. You can just do a lot of different things. Brings a lot of energy to the team. And I know we have like 4 options here to choose from as far as who our best player is, but at the moment, I think it's Micah Potter.
Yeah, I could definitely see Micah. I remember when we went to watch him at the red and white scrimmage last year, and he dominated there even when he wasn't playing in the first half of that season, but looked really great. And then obviously looked even better during the second half of last season. So I can definitely see why you're on the Micah Potter train. Dylan, who is your best player so far?
So obviously our 2 bigs with Reavers and Potters are going to be phenomenal, but I'm going to go a different route and go with Demetric Trice, guy, the point guard. Is always my thought is that's the most important position on the team. Point guard, the offense is going to run through Trice. And he looked solid against Eastern Illinois and Pine Bluff. I liked his 5 assists against Eastern Illinois. Definitely is showing why he's on the Kuzi watch list. Just his vision and passing is very good, and he just can set up his teammates in all sorts of ways. And then against Pine Bluff, he shot almost 70% from the field. So if he can keep that up, and definitely I'll keep riding the Trice train. But yeah, Demetric Trice, I'm going to look for him he'll have a big game where he shoots the lights out and gets in the 20s eventually. But for now, I'm fine with him hovering around the 15s and 13 points per game. So Demetric Trice is my best Badger so far.
Yeah, I have no problem with that either. I think he definitely leads the team kind of emotionally. Just really a great guy all around on the court. Obviously, point guard, signal caller, just does everything you really need him to do. But I am going to go with Nate Reavers. I just think he's kind of the backbone of this Wisconsin defense, really anchoring down, getting back to his block record, getting 5 blocks in the first game against Eastern Illinois. Only had 1 against Pine Bluff, but obviously he didn't really play as much. Showed that he still has that extended 3-point range. He can shoot from anywhere on the floor. Great finisher on the inside, has a nice mid-range game, can pick and pop, pick and roll. Pretty much does all you want him to do for technically he's playing the 4 next to Micah right now. So I just love the way Nate's playing. And I see him as this Badger team's kind of heartbeat right now when just looking at what he's done in the past couple of games. Excited to see all of them in action on Friday against Marquette.
Yep.
So where do you guys have the Badgers ranked this week in your power rankings?
Pretty much the same as last week. I mean, I try not to overreact to, Virginia losing to San Francisco. Got to drop them a little bit, but like, if teams don't really like show me something, I usually just keep them where they are. So for me, Wisconsin is where I had them last week.
Yeah, I had them moving into the top 10, just not necessarily, it's like Grant said, not necessarily because of how good they looked, but just because of the losses that the teams ahead of them had. I think I had like Kentucky and Virginia. I think all of them surpassed them. But yeah, Wisconsin looked good. Definitely Friday is going to be a test, and we'll see how well they play.
Yeah, I had Illinois, Iowa, and Wisconsin at 4, 5, and 6. So I just moved them all up to 3, 4, and 5 after Villanova lost. So I do have Wisconsin in my top 5 right now, but obviously third in the Big Ten behind Illinois and Iowa, and that's probably where they'll stay until somebody plays a solid team and shows me something that can separate them from each other. But I see all 3 of those teams as pretty even in my eyes right now. Maybe Illinois taking a little bit of a step forward just because I just love the way they played in their first two games and kind of had to slip up in the last game. But I think their guards are going to kind of propel them a little bit higher. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, we had a great week of college basketball last week, but seems like an almost even better one this week with all the ranked matchups going on. Obviously, we have the Maui Invitational happening right now. Shout out to Bill Walton. Love the way he announces those games. Always fun to watch, but a lot of ranked matchups, big litmus tests for teams that are in the top 10, especially Baylor, playing the other top 3 teams this week. So, Grant, what are some impact matchups that you have your eye on?
Yeah, looks like Indiana's gonna take care of Providence here. But the rest of the week, yeah, we've got a lot of good games this week. I won't take all the good ones from you guys. So I'll start off with Wednesday night or Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock. West Virginia plays Gonzaga. I'm really excited to see what. Like Gonzaga, we've already seen them play Kansas. West Virginia won the Bad Boy Mowers Classic, is it, in South Dakota? They've looked really good so far. Kind of like West Virginia, very solid defense. Gonzaga, best offense in the country. It's going to be a great matchup. After that, I'll go with Nathan. You already alluded to it. Wisconsin Marquette Friday night. Excited to see our first real test. Marquette's a good team this year. I want to see. I'm excited to see DJ Carton transfer from Ohio State. Also, Dawson Garcia's been pretty impressive so far for Marquette. So, yep, definitely keep an eye on that. I know everyone watching this will be tuning into that game anyways. But and then lastly, I'll go with Sunday at noon, Villanova and Texas. Villanova didn't look great in their first 3 games, and obviously lost one of them. And then Texas, I was really high on them to start the season. I had them preseason number 6, and they looked good in their first game. Not so good against Davidson today, but by the end of the week, I guess we'll know more about them. And then Sunday is going to be a big game, Villanova, Texas.
Dylan, what are some matchups that you're looking forward to?
So the first one I'm looking forward to is tomorrow night in the Champions Classic between Michigan State and Duke. Kind of the first real test for both of the teams. Really excited to see how Jalen Johnson performs after his great first outing. And DJ Stewart too. I feel like Jalen kind of stole the spotlight with going 8 for 8 and having a double-double, but DJ Stewart, he looked really solid in their victory. And then Michigan State, they look solid. Tom Izzo's going to have them ready to play. Interesting to see Jeremy Langford and all those guys, and Aaron Henry. So just very good guard matchups in this game Tuesday night. And then my next matchup I'm looking forward to is going to be Gonzaga Baylor. Just 1-2 Saturday night. 2 high-powered offenses. Excited to see how Drew Timme and Corey Kispert, if they've cooled down at all since last weekend in Fort Myers, or if they're just going to keep the hot hand going for them.
Definitely. The first matchup that I'm really looking forward to is tonight, Stanford, Alabama. 2 very underrated teams this year who are led by a couple newcomers. Obviously, I mentioned Javon Quinterly a little bit ago. I think Alabama has looked impressive so far. They have really good guard play. I like Herb Jones a lot too. I think he's kind of the glue guy on their team and will really be the difference maker to see how far they can go this year, along with JQ. And then I'm excited to see Zaire Williams and how he plays on Stanford. Obviously, Stanford isn't really known for getting those top 5-star diaper dandies, as Dickie V would call them. So I'm excited to see how Zaire looks, along with their big man, Oscar De La Silva. So we'll see how that goes tonight in the Maui Invitational. Then I'm looking forward to the other Champions Classic game tomorrow, Kentucky, Kansas. Both teams coming off losses to other top 25 teams this past week. So I'm excited to see how they bounce back. Talked about Kansas a little while ago. Grant said that they impressed him more than he thought they would, which I agree with. I like the way Marcus Garrett played. Their freshman looked pretty solid, especially Jalen Wilson. I like the way he plays. He has a solid motor. And we'll see if Kentucky's guards can kind of step it up, as I talked about earlier. Then, although Baylor plays Gonzaga 1 and 2, obviously everyone's talking about that. But my favorite matchup in the week is Illinois Baylor. Really excited for this one. I know my dad is, obviously, because he's a huge Fighting Illini fan and really pumped up about them. So we'll see how those guards match up. Obviously, Grant said that Baylor's guards are the best in Division I right now. So it'll definitely be a good test because I think Illinois' guards are right up there with them. So Io against Jared Butler, you got Miller against Maceo Teague. Hopefully Kuberlo plays for Illinois. And then who's going to stop Kofi? We'll see on Baylor who can step up to that challenge. So my two versus my three there. And I'm excited for that one, along with what Dylan mentioned, Gonzaga Baylor. So a big litmus test for Baylor this week, obviously, for sure. We'll really see what type of team they are. That's pretty much it for today. Anybody have any final words or anything that they're expecting this week, Grant?
I did not have anything prepared, but I would just say, I actually don't know.
Dylan,
just watch the Maui Invitational. Watch out for Gonzaga Baylor and Baylor Illinois. Those are two crazy matchups to get at this point in the season. Yeah.
Dylan?
Yeah, so this isn't necessarily focused on this week in particular, but NCAA, free my man Sharif Cooper. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but let the kid play. You know, you just want to see talent. And, you know, I've seen like he's looking at teams professionally overseas right now, possibly if they deny him his eligibility, but let the kid play. You know, we got robbed of seeing him against Kansas. NCAA, let him play. You know, you want to have some fun, just let the kid play. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I just remember when Auburn had so much hype earlier this year when they were like, we're getting Sharif Cooper, we're going to get Jalen Green too. And now neither of them are playing and they barely beat St. Joe's and then they get absolutely obliterated. So not a great start for Auburn basketball there. I've got two bold predictions for you guys. Baylor is going to lose both games this week. Sorry, Baylor fans. I think they're losing both of them. So we'll see how that comes out. I think Illinois, even though I have Baylor ranked higher than Illinois right now, I think they're going to come out with fire on the national stage. I like them to win, and I really don't see anybody beating Gonzaga. So we'll see how those two games end up. And then what we talked about earlier, I like Texas to beat Villanova. I don't know if that's that big of a bold prediction because Villanova kind of fell down in the power rankings, but they'll probably still be favored by a considerable amount against Texas. But I think Texas takes it up. I was surprised to see that Courtney Ramey is now a junior or a senior, and so is Matt Coleman. So it seems like it was just yesterday when they were coming in as pretty highly talented recruits. So they've got a lot of experience under their belts. I just like the way Texas plays. Jericho Sims has been stepping it up as well. So I like them to get the W on Sunday. We'll see how that turns out.
I like Texas too, to beat Villanova.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in again. We'll see you next Monday, College Basketball Power Hour.
Woo.